And hello, y'all. We're excited to be here again. The Teddy and Monica Show on WFTB 104.1 FM and also being recorded Sacrificial Conversations. We are in the building, in the place, and we are so excited once again. I always start this show off with saying, hello, Monica. It's good to see you. Now I'm tripping. I'm messing
Hello,
with her.
Theodore. It's good to see you too.
Yes, we act like we ain't. I'll be excited to see my baby when she get off work. So I'm excited to see you today. I'm so excited to see you.
I hope you are.
Yes, you have anything you want to say before we get started today, young lady?
I just want to say hello to everyone. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. We did very, very busy, but now we're back to doing our show, and we're excited on today because we have a fantabulous guest. We're excited. Oh my goodness. I'm not gonna let the tea out the bag because Teddy said he's going to introduce our wonderful person for today.
So you ready for me to get started?
Yeah, I'm ready to get started because y'all, this is a real treat. We met him a couple of months ago.
Yeah, you go ahead and set that up. Set that up.
Man, it's from the first conversation. Oh my goodness, he's hilarious. Very knowledgeable. His daughter and my daughter play flag football together, so we was run up and down the sides, cheering and cutting up. So
go Campbellville University.
Go Campbellville University.
Yes. So, like you said, we met y'all, and when we met each other, it's like we were connected right there, y'all. Yes. I was like, okay, how do you meet someone and the conversation just explodes? I mean, the conversation, we went out to eat later on that evening. We just
broke bread together. We broke bread together.
We just could not stop talking. And I just want to say it was such an interesting conversation. I had to ask this young man to be on Sacrificial Conversations because the knowledge that he was dropping and just a little nuggets that he was just giving us just a couple of minutes ago, it was just inspiring and amazing, you all. So tonight, you all, want to introduce you all to my guy, Mr. Demian LaPointe. And brother, if I didn't say your last name correctly, please, I know I think I did well because I've been trying to figure this thing out. But Damian, it is so good to have you here today, Damian.
Welcome.
Coming straight out of Chicago,
the Windy City.
I'm gonna let you give your resume real quick, brother. I'm gonna let you let us know where you from. Give us a quick resume. Let the people know who you are, what you do, Damon. You can let us know about your daughter, however it wants to go, and let them know where you're coming from and how cold it is where you at. Come on with it, Damon.
First of all, the city is cold. I'm so excited to be here with both of you. What a wonderful opportunity I have to share. I say first and foremost, I'm Luke and Ella's father. What a blessing that is that I get to be. Everything after that is gravy. I'm a servant of my Creator, my Lord. And the work that I do is for school districts. So my basic bio is I'm a kid from inner city Chicago who shouldn't be here today. And a whole bunch of teachers invested in me. And I spent the last 31 years trying to pay that back. I've served as a special education teacher for about 22 years, serving at high schools, mostly with behavior children manifesting behavioral patterns. And then I served as an administrator, either as a department chair or director. At the largest, I had 17 buildings that I was supporting for trauma work. Today, I work for West 40. I've been working for West 40 for the last 5 years. I don't even consider it a job. It's more like a mission. I get to support 152 buildings in West Cook County. That's a community in need, indeed. And we get to support them. My mission is trauma, restorative practices, and compassion fatigue for both the educators and the administrators that serve these children.
Wow. So explain trauma, because I mean, I know what trauma is as far as like in medical, I know it's serious. So when we're talking about the school and the school systems, can you elaborate on that trauma for me?
lot of definitions, right? Like, and you're right, we don't have a common vocabulary as people. I saw a TV commercial. I'm going to just talk for a second. I'm sorry if I go on.
Absolutely.
But I saw a lady who said, I was traumatized because of my new dentures, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, it might have felt traumatizing to her. I don't want to take that experience away. But when we talk about the vocabulary of it, we're talking about something so outside the norm that it changes your behavior forever.
Wow.
It significantly changes you because you've experienced, witnessed, or been a part of something so outside the normal conditions of the fabric of society or experience
Mm-hmm.
that it changed you.
Okay. So you're saying children actually go through this type of trauma.
I'm saying that in the communities we serve,
Mm-hmm.
and this is a national statistic, in communities that we serve that are predominantly Black and brown in poverty,
Mm-hmm.
what we find is the kids are reporting, 1 out of 3 kids is reporting twice the post-traumatic stress disorder than a returning Iraqi war veteran. And I say that not lightly, right? That's CDC statistics. We have a mental health crisis for our children that was put out in 2019, and it hasn't been lifted. Like, there's an emergency for our kids.
Wow.
That is crazy, brother. So I got a couple of things I want to definitely ask you. What actually inspired you to work with traumatized youth? Were you inspired to do this, or is it something that I know you didn't just wake up and say, "Hey, this is something I want to do as a child"? But what
Did it fall into your lap unexpectedly?
I didn't have a choice, right? You all, every human being has their calling, I believe. I just got to hear mine, and it was to repay the kids back that grew up in a condition that I grew up in. I truly believe that America is the only place where the poor, the downtrodden, have the opportunity for social and economic mobility, that I can rise up from my conditions. Now, I might need a lot more help given who I am, where I am, right? What I look like, where the society treats me, but I can still, through public education, rise. And that's what happened for me. And it didn't happen because they taught me the math, the science.
Mm-hmm.
It's because they loved me. Like, I don't know how that happened, but every year I got lucky enough to have a teacher that loved on me. Whatever that looked like, they showed up, they were present, whatever love looks like. Dr. Brown breaks down love. He says, because it's an emotion, you can't define it, but you can look at it as properties. And one of those properties that we do as teachers is authentically, compassionately witness people's experience. There's so many teachers that maybe they can't fix a child's life, but to compassionately and authentically witness it and help them move forward every day. I'm blown away with teachers. That's where magic happens.
With the teachers. I agree with you.
Yeah, that is where the magic happens, brothers, and that's going to lead me to this next question. So, how do you collaborate with teachers and parents together? How do you get them together to collaborate on things to help the children?
We were just actually, so every Monday, my team, because we support so many schools and the stakes are high, we invest in each other. We invest in communicating what happens out in our communities, right? Because it changes from month to month, from day to day, the needs of our field. So when we were meeting today, part of what we were talking about is how do you have a school represented when you make change and when you sort of take the temperature of what the school looks like. And we all kind of agreed to that. Almost every school team needs a community member, needs a parent, needs a student. It's really easy to think about all the professionals that could be on the team, but how do you really integrate your community? I may be a teacher that lives 30 miles away from the heart of what you live and what your child lives. And so, how do I bring you to the table to be a good partner? So, I think those are some of the ways. I do talks for parents on social media and the impact of our kids and sort of on us as a society. So I know those. I don't know if they're the same, but I do some parent talks along with teacher talks.
Okay. Um, so I know Theodore went to a school recently and he said all the kids just needed was love. He said they needed that attention. He went there to speak on, entrepreneurship, and he receives from himself so much love from the kids, but he could tell that the parents weren't really spending time with them. I guess they were working, and if you work 2 or 3 jobs, you're usually sleeping. So he could tell that they were taking care of themselves and their siblings, but they just wanted someone to hear them. And my heart goes out because it's so many kids like that. The parents are working and they're just taking care of siblings and they are, not being a child.
And I'm gonna give a part B for that question. So how would you build the trust for those particular students? How would you build a trust for them?
I'll tell you one of the greatest joys of my life, aside from what I do now, I pinch myself, was working and sort of leading the alternative school for Evanston High School. In 4 years, we had graduated 250 kids that were all expelled. In order to get expelled in Chicago because of, well, and I think it's nationally because of Senate Bill 100. No, that's Illinois. You cannot suspend a child out of school for anything less than drug selling, not usage, weapons, and violence, sort of to put it roughly. And those were our babies. And it's so funny that people said to me often, Demian, you must be really tough. You must be tough to get those kids to listen. It was exactly the opposite. I loved them harder than they had ever been loved. I knew their stories. I met their family. And families takes all different beautiful shapes and sizes, right? We've got grandmas raising babies. We got adoption. We got foster care. And so my shout out, my sort of plug for any teacher, any administrator listening, those letters that go home that say, Dear parents, just change the word to Dear families. If you could do that, that's a way you witness a family that really means something. But in that alternative school, we used restorative practices, which meant that every morning when we got together, before I did anything with you, I watched you eat. We brought food into the classroom. We spent 15 minutes making sure that you had breakfast, whether it was cold cereal or a hot meal. We made sure your basic needs were met, right? For whatever reason that you were selling drugs in the school, 9 out of 10 times is because your family was broke and you were trying to help in the best way you knew how in your adolescent mind. The front lobe about consequences doesn't develop till you're 25.
Right.
And then put a kid in some struggle and in some way to think he's the head of the family trying to help. So these kids just needed a lot of love. They needed food. They needed somebody to hear their story, right? And then they needed to hear my story. They didn't need to hear about the bad stuff in my life, right? Nobody needs that. What they needed to hear was that I came from the same streets you came from, that I kind of look like you, and that I know your experience. And I got out of those streets, and you're a lot smarter than me.
Wow.
I can't wait to see what you do, right? To witness a child, to make a relationship is different than to be nice to a child. to create that experience where we're in tune with each other, where you laugh at me, a child's safe. Their nervous system is ready for you to be their teacher. But if you're scared, you're not teaching anybody anything. Did anybody ever have parents, like, did you ever have your parents when you were a kid say, look at me when I'm yelling at you?
Yes.
And do you know the human mind, that's completely opposite of how our neurology works. Think about when you're driving down the road and you see like a dead animal, you look away. I watch a scary movie, which I don't like anyway, but I do it for my kids sometimes. But I watch it with a finger in my ear and my eyes closed, right? Almost the whole time. I'm looking away. So some of the behaviors that were instilled in us as from our generations before, or even from parents that meant well, translate into the classroom. And so my job is to help teachers understand sort of the brain science behind safety. And once a kid feels safe and that they can trust you, you could teach them anything.
That's an amazing concept to even think about. Once they feel safe with you, that's when their minds open up and are ready to absorb and learn more. That is something that I don't think, even when I was growing up, I felt safe at school, but I'm trying to ask myself, that I truly feel safe with one of my teachers to want to open up and talk with them. And it was one teacher that I can say yes to, because this man actually came to our home and talked with my parents when I was young. So that let me know that this man actually really cared something about me. So when I went to school the next day, it made me look at him a little different, because this man took out the time and I was still in elementary school when this happened. He took out the time to come to my house to tell on my brother, y'all. So this is what this was all about. He was coming to my house to tell about what my brother did wrong. So in the process, my name had to come up, because he was actually my teacher, but he caught my brother in the act of doing something wrong. So, both of us got a beating for that whole situation. I'm messing with you. But I'm just saying, it opened up a whole trust factor to let me be able to say, this man must care something about me for him to drive himself all the way to my home, for me to see his face, for me to make a connection like that. So I totally agree with what you're saying. So is that a misconception that a lot of you think children have, or even parents may even have, that it's hard to trust teachers and trust the educators?
I think a lot of teachers benefit from brain science. We don't have one brain. We have three. And that's what's the craziest thing. Our reptilian brain is at the base of our spinal column. It's that real tight brain. And if you ever dealt with a reptile, it doesn't really want to make friends with you. It wants to eat you or run, right? We call that the flight, fawn, freeze, flop. Yeah, a lot of F's in there. I made up one since COVID. And I think that reptilian brain, if you can't get somebody out of that reptilian brain, sits right on top of that is your limbic brain. It tells you whether you're safe or not. All it does is say, like a valve, go down to your reptilian brain or go up to your cortex. And the thing that makes us most human is our cortex. It's big. It has the largest pathways of storage, and all of the language, math, reading, writing, logic, who you think you were, who you want to become, it lives in the top part of your brain, in that third brain of your cortex. But you can't get to that if somebody doesn't feel safe. So safety is the first condition for learning. I do these trainings. And again, I'm so blessed for school districts like Cicero and Berwyn in the west side of Chicago. And I get to talk to their staff. And before I tell them my credentials, I tell them about my children. They don't want to know my credentials. They want to know, is this guy in front of me safe?
Wow.
And so the story of me raising both my beautiful children and who they are today leads off most of the presentation. That's how I sort of build some trust as a presenter on the fly.
You got
Good.
something? Go ahead, girl.
So I just want to. I know you're in Chicago and we're in Tennessee. So I know, I have a lot of friends that are teachers, and then Teddy has sisters that are teachers. So a lot of teachers are taking a break. They're getting burnt out in the classrooms. So my question is, do you think it's because they don't have someone like you coming into our school system here to educate the teachers, to let them know how to deal with these type of kids? Because these kids nowadays, I mean, I'm just gonna be honest. I'm glad that I'm not a child during this time, and then my kids are not. They're grown, they're older now, so they're not in this generation, because this generation is like a microwave. They want everything now, and then they want it their way. So, I mean, I guess you're teaching you're teaching these teachers about trauma. So I'm not sure if we have someone like you here in Tennessee that's teaching our teachers about trauma. Maybe so many wouldn't quit the system.
Something really scary happened nationwide. So let's let Tennessee off the hook, and as all of these states, something terrible happened with teachers, and that's that we lost about 1/6 of our profession in 1 year. Walked away. COVID was extremely hard on teaching. If you could imagine what that transition was like overnight, then to have a room full of kids where you're either looking into their home and seeing things you shouldn't, or you got screens up in the sky and you don't know who you're talking to, and you've got 30 kids with screens up, and it was and then it was lonely on top of it, right? The American psyche changed because of that isolation. I think we're still coming out of post COVID trauma. So your original question was about ROEs, or what we have in Illinois, something called ROEs and ISCs, which is we train school districts, and I'm sure every state has it. What I would say is two things. One, we're not giving teachers enough training about what it means to do this work. The average teacher going into this wants to teach third grade and had a great third grade experience and wants to give back to their community and loves kids. And it's a hard job, but it's a great job. And so you go into it, and then what you find out is that you have a room full of kids with a whole bunch of needs that you weren't prepared for. And then you're a first responder, and nobody told you that. So I think about teachers as first responders. You got 30 kids in your room and one kid is off, you're not teaching anything. One kid out of that 30 is off. And if you asked a room full of teachers how many times that happens a week, they would laugh and say how many times that happens a day, an hour. You have to make sure the one kid whose nervous system, or one kid being off, and again, that's not abnormal. Their nervous systems are young. They're living through tough conditions, and they're figuring out what it means to deal with this world, right? And you're right, the kids are different. I think, to your point, we ran the social media experiment. For the last 21 years, we've been running a social media experiment rogue. Our children have been growing up with devices in hand without questions. We were talking before the show, but remember when I brought my daughter to a party and she was right next to the girl next to her, but they were both on the phone. I said, honey, why are you on the phone? You're at your friend's party. She said, I'm texting her. They were sitting right next to each other. And in some ways, this is our fault, right? I say this publicly, I'll say it privately. Tupac was right that we don't like to look at our children because that's our truth. What we don't like in our society today is what we put out in front of us. And so we're reaping what we sow. I like that our states are passing legislation to help parents reel in social media. It's unchecked, it's unhealthy. Here's how the algorithm works. The whistleblower told us this. Your brain is wired for 5 times the bond over things you don't like over things you like. For example, you and I like apples, right? You like apples?
Yes, I do.
I like apples. Great bond. Do you hate racial injustice?
Yes.
I hate racial injustice. I fight every day in the west side of Chicago to make sure that never happens under my watch. And it's my passion. And I think about that work every day. And you and I are going to bond over that. And it's a negative thing we're bonding over, right? This isn't good. We're wired for that kind of bond to respond 5 times stronger to negative than positive. So the social media algorithms already know this. So you're seeing every time you doom scroll 5 to 1, 5 negative things to draw you into one. And then you get a picture of kittens. And the nervous system isn't wired for that. So for a lot of, how about our movies? When we were kids, you could watch a movie screen. You would watch one guy talk or one lady talk and the screen wouldn't move, right? Today, the television shows every 2 seconds, it's a new screen. We're wiring our kids' nervous systems in ways that if we don't check the media, that's on us.
Wow, I didn't think of it like that. You're right.
Man, you just
And that's starting at the age because even they're babies, we're like, we get if they're crying, just we give them the phone to keep them pacified.
Damon, baby, we got to rewind that. I am, yes, we got to repeat that one more time. What you said about what social media and about how the brain works and how the screen is giving you 2 different images very quickly to actually work on your part of your system. Give us that one more time, please, and break that thing down, man, because that's it right there.
They're going after something that our brain normally does, and we're wired. All right, let me take this a different way. Our emotions, you have positive emotions and negative emotions. That's it.
Yeah.
And then there's one neutral emotion. We have more negative emotions than positive. No matter what sort of psychological wheel of emotions you use, there's always more negative than there are positive. That's an evolutionary benefit. When have you grown in your life? When everybody's patting you on the back and telling you you're the man? Or when you're picking yourself off the concrete for the 3rd time and asking the Lord to help you up, right? That's where I've grown. That's where I've found my greatest strength. And so that's a benefit for us. So these these social media algorithms are not designed to be your friend. They're designed to make money. They're designed to entice you, to draw you in on that click. Hit the button, click, interact so that I could sell more commercials for this site.
Wow.
And the stuff that they're asking you to see, to interact with, they're hacking our nervous system by knowing that we are passionate about stuff we dislike. So for me, for example, breaking up families under our current policies with ICE and children coming home to not seeing their mothers or fathers there, that nervous system hit, it's it would be something that would be scrolling up on my social media post, because they already know that's something, they've already got my algorithms and my behaviors tracked. So I'm going to get a lot more of those posts, and I'm going to see things that I don't like at a higher rate to get me to interact. And then every now and then they'll throw in some kittens, and I'm giving you an honest window into me. I like kittens.
Yeah, man. That is amazing that you said that. And Monica, she doesn't really look at a lot of social media, and I give you kudos, Monica, for not looking at social media, because social media will grab the oldest person. And so I can imagine what it's doing to a child to a 10-year-old. Just imagine, you all, the trauma that social media is putting, because like, even Damian, I'm a hairstylist, I'm a cosmetologist, and just in the salon, I was in there this Saturday, and it was a baby that was about, y'all, had to been 2 years old, maybe 3, going about to turn 3, and the only way they were able to keep this baby calm, you all, from getting her hair done, was to place the phone or the pad in front of this baby, and that is the only thing that helped this baby make it through her appointment, getting her hair done, taken down. Because every time they took it away, she cried. Every time they put it back in her face, she would calm down, give us 10 minutes without any hollering or anything. And it's just so amazing how back in the day when they would come in, because I've been doing this thing 35 years. So back in the day when they would bring the young ladies in, the mothers and them would get in their face and say, "You better stop," or pull a comb out, or act like they about to pop that hand. And they were giving that one-on-one interaction, and you saw a difference. So in me saying this, do you? What are some of the success rates, or what would you call a successful turnaround in a child's life that's gone through a traumatic incident, like a coming up watching social media, or their neutrons are being changed, like you're saying? What is something that, or some of the successes that we can use or put towards making them better or helping them as they grow in their mental spaces and stuff?
First of all, I want to celebrate both of you for being incredible role models. 35 years, and you spend time after work, right? Preaching forward and having this podcast in a way. I think that's an incredible example. You going into schools. I worked at Evanston High School, and we had 2 Black male chemistry teachers, and the odds of that were greater than a lightning strike.
Wow.
And so I want to recruit as many young males as I can, as many young Black and brown males. I want to recruit teachers. You can change a life. I could have used my fast talk, right, and my processor to do any. I probably would have been sitting pretty selling Lamborghinis if I didn't have to pay this debt forward, right?
Yeah.
With public education. And yet, what this profession did for me is it changed my soul. It allowed me to find service, to listen to a need of another human being over my own, to grow. I've been different teachers at different times. I've been different administrators at different times. But every one of the growths and the person I am now is on the backs of thousands of children and hundreds of teachers. And so I want to just throw this pitch out there. It's hard to be me when I don't see me in a public school system. Even those 2 hours, that hour that you could spend once a month in your local school, if that's the route for you. But it's a beautiful profession. And I promise you, after 35 years, I don't mean to speak glibly, because that's not my intent, but you will have standing room only at your funeral. You give to a community for 35 years in that way, and your legacy of love and paying it forward. It's an incredible thing. I've seen it time and time again in this profession.
That's good, man. That is so good. Yes,
Great, Damian. I mean, I'm just thinking. So, Damian, I'm that person. I throw out I want to say the hard questions. So, in this trauma, does bullying fall into this category? Does things like ADHD, do all that fall into this trauma category that you have to deal with the teachers?
I think they're all sort of separate and they intermingle, right? It's not uncommon that disabilities have more things to overcome. Families that navigate disabilities have higher divorce rates. Those are just sort of statistical things. So, but when I talk about trauma, just really talking about something that changed you, right? It's not what happened to you, it's what happened inside of you because of what happened to you. So there are some simple strategies, right? Like putting an agenda on the board, letting a kid know what's coming. I walk in the door, I see that my teacher has shown me my day. I know what's coming. Kids will complain about structure and seating charts and lining up for whatever. They need that structure like a warm hug. They want it. They're looking for it. They're asking for it. Kids are always testing boundaries, and they want that firm handshake that says, "I love you so much that I'm not going to let you cross this." Right? You're important to me. So we put agendas up on the board. We talk a lot about sort of that, an opening circle. Just a simple question, put our chairs in a circle where we face each other. And a simple question like, what song gets you excited right now? If you had a theme song and you were walking into the room and it was going to be your theme song, what would play? You don't have to have a right answer. There's no right or wrong. It's so engaging. I mean, did you already think of your theme song? I know mine. I know mine. And Missy Elliott might be singing it. So there's a few ways I'm thinking. But so that's just another sort of way to see a child, to get to know more of the individual. And then when you answer that question, like my kids would love it when I told them I listened to Lil Wayne this weekend. Part of my job is to keep up with the culture of the kids. How can I teach them and know what's important to them? Every generation changes. My goodness, every year changes. One year it's Pokemon and that's all the rage and nobody's talking about anything else. And the next thing you know, it's memes and something else. And so if I'm going to reach the kids, I got to use their culture against them like a weapon. What they love, I need to know so that I can trick them into learning the stuff I'm trying to sell them.
Mm. So, Damien, tell me some of your secrets of learning. Because yesterday I was doing something like this, and I was like, "What is that?" I still don't know because I just saw you doing that. So that's what's that, Damien?
This pinching the fingers.
Yeah.
I don't know. Half of these memes with these kids, I have no idea. I still don't
Oh my
understand
goodness.
6'7". I'm still trying to figure that one out.
Oh my
Like,
goodness. Yeah.
does it mean something? I'm just
Right.
trying to figure it out.
I know.
So half the time I'm just trying to keep up with them. But it's important that you keep up. One of the greatest lessons I learned. So I started teaching, and I'm very blessed to have worked with the Hopi tribe. 97 through 99 was my first teaching job in Arizona. It was a school district called Akimal Middle School, Children of the River. And there was a lady close to retirement, and she ran the detention room. And I was a young man and I was a behavior teacher. I was doing all this stuff, crisis I'm running, but this is a job where you learn every year. You're learning on the job. This is the most important on the job embedded training you'll ever get. So I asked her, why was she so good? Could she teach me? She ran this detention room and it was perfect. And kids, She said, well, I'll tell you one thing I always do is I listen to the music the kids are listening to. When I was a little girl, my parents were telling me that Elvis was literally the devil himself. And I couldn't talk with my own parents about some cultural experience that was happening across the world. And I had that experience with a teacher, and I made a bond that allowed me to really be taught. So she said, listen to the music they're listening to. Stay sort of active in their culture so you know what it means when they're sort of using their this week's jargon, whatever that is.
So I got one other thing. Have you dealt with a lot of teachers and students that needed a lot of motivation and needed to actually be inspired? Or how do you motivate teachers and students?
Again, authentic, compassionate witnessing.
If to help them focus as well, to help them in their focusing as well.
So you know how I told you I started training with my kids to make them feel safe with me? Well, I do the same thing with each other. So then before I even started training, I'll run some quick activity where 4 or 5 of them have to work together really quickly in some activity. One of them might be share the story of your name. Everybody's got a story when it comes to their name. I have met people that have been named by telenovelas. I met people that while they were sleeping from delivery, the mother-in-law or the father-in-law changed the name on the birth certificate. I have heard stories of culture those interactive activities where people just in their 5 group, let's say I've got a couple hundred, just 5 here, 5 there, 5. Those 5 start to get people, even in their environment, to feel safe. Then to know the people around you are safe. Now your whole body's coming down a little bit. Oh, they put on the shoes the same way I do. So that's one way that I'll sort of do a professional learning experience.
You got something? I'm ready. All right,
go ahead. I'm gonna let you have the floor. Go ahead.
All right. So my another question, Damian. How do you take care of your well-being and dealing with your mental when how you're dealing with students and teachers like this? How do you take care of your well-being?
Thank you for what a thoughtful question. Thank you. I'll tell you honestly, and I want to destigmatize this as much as possible. To be a Latino male in Chicago and then to say go to therapy, that's not well received. And I think about how you were sharing the powerful work you do in the barber shop, right? I think that's an important part of sort of the work, making people aware of the why that they even started doing in the first place. How I can inspire a human being is to get them to reconnect with why they started teaching in the first place. Most people didn't start teaching because it pays great or because their summers are off. Because you're without pay. And have you ever seen your favorite teacher at the local Walgreens? That's real. So I think about remembering why you started teaching in the first place. And if you can dig into that when your hardest times are, I've met teachers one lady I met in Southern Illinois who was a very strong administrator, excellent school principal and leader. She was inspired because her 4th grade teacher in a farming community took her outside and made all the girls in the classroom change a flat tire.
Wow.
She said that it showed me that I could do something different than I had been trained that I was allowed to do as a woman. there are so many barriers that you can break, and so many stories out in our communities of why people taught. Nobody's getting rich. You get a retirement, and most of the time they take 10% or more of your check a month to give you that retirement, right? It's money you made. So there's not sort of these incredible benefits, and society doesn't hold a teacher in the way with the reverence we used to. I don't know sort of when that changed, but there used to be sort of a level of prestige. Oh, that's the town or community teacher. And I wish that came back again. But again, I think we're all sort of in transition right now on what our society is going to sort of move into. But what we're doing right now isn't working. That I know.
Wow. Go
Yes,
ahead, baby.
wow.
Go ahead.
So, in your job, I know you have, because we have a lot of new, young, like teachers in their 20s. And then you got the ones that's been teaching for many, many years, and they have their own style of teaching. So, do you ever run into any, I guess, conflict with the newer teachers because they're young and they still listen to that music, so they can relate to the kids more versus the old school teachers that they still believe in paddling and making sure you are respectful. So do you ever run it, I guess, a clash of new versus old in what you're trying to teach them?
I wouldn't even, can I take it a step further? Different ideas. I got different value systems and ideas trying to raise the same babies.
Wow.
And that gets complicated, right? And we're in the mission to raise the babies. And I don't care if they're high school kids, I still call them the babies. I actually do that on purpose to remind people that these are still children that we're working with. Their brains aren't developed and still won't be for a few more years after they leave us in the high school setting. So we have a responsibility to sort of support them differently. I don't know if I answered that correctly.
I think you did. I mean, because I know I can relate to, because I had in my younger years when I was my first grade teacher. Her name was Miss Jackson, and she was an older woman, and so she kind of reminded me of my grandmother. So as young as I was, I had much respect for her. And then I think my second grade, I had one of those younger teachers, and she wasn't as caring. And so, by me being with the older teacher, I liked that nourishment. But when I got the younger teacher, she was just, she was young, so she was like flying by the seat of her pants. So I didn't get that nurturing from her. So I don't. Yeah, it's a balancing act because, like you said, you're still babies growing, but if you got a teacher that's more nurturing and can take time with you versus the younger teacher saying, "Hey, this is what we're gonna do. Either you gonna do it or you're not." So that's why I was asking because it was a.
I think the values, if we can go, in schools, we talk a lot about tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 interventions, right? Tier 1 is what we do for the whole school. Tier 2 is a small group. Tier 3 is 1-to-1. And that's the easiest sort of framework for me to think about. And when I have different value systems, I go to tier 0. What's important to you? What do you want to see from our school 5 years from now? What would you like to see a graduate say about their experience on the news 10 years from now? If you were to walk your own hall, and sometimes the tough question, and this one hurts, it's important, but what does it feel like to sit on the other side of me?
Ooh, that was good.
It's a reflective question, and I think I was different teacher at different times. And I was able to leverage the young teacher, the fun, exciting, the new dance move. I didn't have children. So the kids in my space were my space, right? You have about 5 or 6 good years to leverage that, where the kids are sort of that's their whole breath, oxygen, morning, wake up tea. Then we sort of have babies. So that sort of takes a priority in our life, and we learn how to juggle both. And then there's a period where we're empty nesters, and then we reinvest again where we're sleeping back at the school. I've been different teachers at different times, and I think as long as I'm reflective, everything I do is in the best interest of a child, and I never accept that I'm done or that I have the answer, right? I've been doing this 31 years. I teach teachers, administrators, superintendents, and I still feel like I'm not a master teacher. I'm not there yet. I got a lot more to learn. And I've met a few master teachers in my life. Shout out to Ellen Pierce when I was about 28 years old. I watched a master teacher in action. So I've only seen a few of them in my life, but I think there is something about the quest to want to serve people and children the best you can. These kids will find you 20 years later. They're going to see you and they're going to tell you of their experience. And not one of them's going to say, I remember when George Washington and you told that story of the Delaware.
Wow.
They're going to tell you how you made them feel and what it was like to sit across the table from you. I promise you.
It's amazing. I'm gonna make y'all laugh with this one right here. So I think about what you just sat there and said, and I think about all the teachers that I remembered. You know, like I'm talking about when I say remembered, I'm talking about I can remember their names. The one I told you about that came to my house, his name was Dr. Jones, teacher Mr. Jones. I remember his name. The other one that I remember, and this one finna get y'all, her name was Miss Pulley. I'm making you all laugh because this was a crush that I had, and she made us feel, you know. But that I'm just trying to think about some of the teachers that I could remember. I'm trying to think of another one off the top of my head, but those are the main two. But those, they made you feel comfortable because she made us, even though we were attracted to Miss Pulley still brought us in. She made us feel comfortable in the room. She made us feel like she heard us. Let me say that. And it's something about a student being able to say they're heard, because when I went to that actual school and talked to those youth, to see them, I literally grabbed one of the youth up with me and I pulled him up to the front of the class with me and put my arm around him and said, if you move, I'm going to put you in this chokehold and I'm not going to let you go. When at the end of that session, this young brother, and he was a Latino brother, so he was not even my nationality, but at the end of that class, me and him had a bond, it felt like, because I gave him the attention that he needed. So he was actually my friend, you know, at the end of that class. And when we first started, he wasn't talking. He was the class clown. But just that bond and that building that trust and just showing those type of things. So this hour goes by fast. I tell all of our guests this, Damian. I really want you to motivate teachers. Before we get off this air tonight, I want you to give our teachers something that they can take and resonate with, that can help motivate them to continue to be servants and to be better teachers, to help motivate these students to focus and to have more consistency with their learning, you know, schedules and abilities. So I'm going to give you the floor. Monica, you got anything you want to add on to that?
I'm waiting on Damian.
All right, then we're going to give you the floor right now, Damon.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for what a pleasure and an honor it is to both speak with both of you and your community in this way, and then to be blessed to have you both in my life. Thank you. So when I think about Do you know the story you told me about the young Latino male that you gave that hug to at the end, but he was the class clown in the beginning?
Yeah.
Yeah. There is an ancient saying, an African proverb that the child that does not feel the warmth of the community fire will burn it down to get the same feeling.
That's good.
And I think about all of those squeaky wheels out there. They got a story. It's even the human beings, the adults we talk to, it's not what's wrong with you, right? As Dr. Perry says, it's what happened to you. And if I know that lens, if I can think about what happened to you, I can be way more prescriptive in how I support you.
Mm.
Um, I think they have an extremely powerful gift to shape the life of the future. Um, and what we're living in right now isn't so hot. And every investment you make in a beautiful little life to move them forward, the research tells us for all of K 12, for all of the negative stuff that a child faces in this world, if they only make one relationship, I'd say every year, just 1 year out of the whole K 12 experience, like you had, you can think of two teachers. I hope you, Monica, can think of at least one, but uh, that's what we need to change the future. Make sure that the child that you are frustrated with the most feels loved, even if that's a struggle for you. It will do more for you than the child, I promise, in the long run.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
And that was it right there, y'all. That was it. Make sure, y'all, that y'all heard that last statement, because when you make an impact in a child's heart, in their mindset, you're going to change that child. You're going to give them a chance, and that's all with this. I feel like this conversation was all about giving our children a chance, y'all. This show has been amazing, Damien. I
Yes, thank you,
appreciate you. You
Damon.
don't even
Kudos to you.
understand. Tonight it was amazing. We would
Thank you
definitely be
both.
getting back in contact with you, and we will see you on that football field
Yes.
with our daughters. Damon, great man, and man, I appreciate you, y'all.
Yes,
You
we
have
do.
been listening to WFTB 104.1 FM, Tab Nashville Gospel Radio, also being recorded. Sacrificial Conversations podcast, y'all. We love you all. Like I said, another great one, and y'all, it's
Be
been
blessed.
great. Y'all be blessed. Bye. I told y'all it was going to be a good conversation. Sacrificial Conversations. Did you subscribe yet? Hit that like button. You might get something that's going to help your life. Y'all be blessed.